to Turgeon. Shorsky picked it up. Down the right side, takes the shot from a bad angle, and that's kicked out easily by Cherbyakov. Shorsky slides the puck in front. It's cleared to center to Bartolnov. Moving in against Peter Svoboda. Titov setting up in front. Bartolnov couldn't get the pass through. Desjardins takes over for the Canadiens. To Tom Shorsky. He goes rink wide to Dennis Savard. Turgeon is with him. Savard a spin around against Ulanov, and then he falls down in the corner. Ulanov down the boards. Desjardins trying to hustle to keep it in. He can't do it. Schneider back in his own zone, wearing number 8, as he gave 18 to Denny Savard, and a 2-line offside pass for the Canadiens.
Well, there's a shot of the Soviet head coach. There's about 6 coaches behind the bench, but there's the head one, Vladimir Vasilyev. And the last time that he coached in the same rink as Pat Burns, it was Piastany, Czechoslovakia. You remember the riots between the Canadian junior team, on which Pat was an assistant coach, and Vasilyev coached the Russian team.
Interesting to watch the morning skate. Vasilyev goes on the ice, no gloves, no stick, just a whistle. You should have tried that, Harry, when you coached.
They had a very dead practice. There was very little in the way of high-tempo drills, which is uncommon for Russian practices. The players, not one of them seemed to be having any fun at all.
Trupno's stick handling, and just missed the top corner. Kurashov at his own line for Khimik. Pass it center to Trupno. Just past the 5-minute mark in period 1. 0-0 between the Canadiens and Khimik. Trupno at center. Gets away from LeBeau. Ahead to Berechevsky. Good move on center. Right in a shot, and a good save by Bergeron. Shuryev hand on a shot, and 4 Canadians break out. It's Mike Keane to Shane Forson. Back for Keane. But the Canadians are offside on the play as Khimik came very close again. That's a pretty good play.
Yeah, was it ever. We're looking at Lev Berdichevsky, who really put a how-do-you-do move on Matt Snyder. Watch this. Snyder goes for the puck, and then you're done. He gets the puck by him, he gets himself by him, but he can't get the puck by Bergeron.
Khimik's had the better scoring chances in the first 5.5 minutes of this hockey game. J.J. Daigneault back for it for Montreal. Played some forward this year for the Canadiens. On defense tonight, left the puck for acting captain Strudlin. Back to Gerald Diddick, the former Islander, to Daigneault. He skates to center and shoots it into the Khimik zone. Smirnoff along the boards with Peterson. Yashin can't poke it out. Now the puck does come out. Nida for Khimik. Into the Montreal zone. Has Yashin with him. Nida trying to center it. Came in front. Peterson knocked it to the point. Smirnoff trying to keep it in. He does. Andrei Bartelnov into the corner. He's knocked down by Daigneault. Yashin for Selyanin, and he can't get a shot away. Nida in the corner. Back of the point to Smirnoff. He waits, lets the shot go, and a stick save by Bergeron. Nida turning in the corner. Good pressure here by Khimik. Back to Smirnoff. His quick shot. Add onto the stick of Daigneault. Peterson. Right wing pass for Richer. Would have been a 3-on-1 for the Canadiens, and then they nearly mishandled it. Khimik, that is, as they clear it to center. Lefebvre loses the puck to Bartelnov to the backhand. He turns, now shoots, and Bergeron makes the save. Trying to use Toropchenko as a decoy. Richer for Montreal. Check by Smirnoff. Richer behind the net. Coming in front of backhand. He put it right through the crease. Nida on the end of a long shift. To Toropchenko at center. He lost it, and it's Svoboda for Montreal. Back to Lefebvre. Good move at center. Left it for Svoboda at the line. He was challenged, and Toropchenko knocks it back to Baselga. Toropchenko looking for Maslov. Svoboda in his own zone for Montreal. Lefebvre for Russ Courtnall. He couldn't control it. Castle's hustling after the puck. And Cherbykov plays it. Veselgin off the boards to Toropchenko. On the right side to Maslov. His shot over top of the goal. Soviets shooting a lot in the first period. Toropchenko trying to center it. It cancels up the boards for Courtnall. Veselgin is there. Maslov to Milligan. His shot off a stick. And the puck goes sailing into the crowd. Nearly 8 minutes gone in period one.
Line. And here it is coming up right here. Stick handling, standing still. A dynamite move. Vartalnov gets a chance. And Bergeron was all ready for that shot after Vartalnov bided some time looking for a teammate to pass it to.
Shots are 5-3 Khimik. Kurashov a shot, and that's kicked away by Bergeron. Titov in the corner, in front to Vartalnov. He was looking for Zelapukin. Desjardins for the Canadians to Matt Schneider. Back out of center, Kurashov for Khimik. To Shuryev. On the right side to Zelapukin. Can't get anywhere against Schneider. He fell down. And out come the Canadians. Brunet with a speedy Russ Courtnall. But he overskated the puck at center. Now stick handles around Zelapukin. Lost it to Titov. Zelapukin. Back to Titov. Stick handles into the slot. Still has it. Titov trying to center it. Into the corner now. Dmitry Vartalnov. Behind the back pass. Titov to Shuryev. Back to Titov. Trying to center it again. Puck loose in front. And finally Bergeron covers up as Khimik continues to pressure in the Montreal zone.
Well, the Khimik team has been far more dangerous here in the first 9 minutes of this game. Came through their minor hockey system.
Enjoying their tour around the NHL. Galyanin to Trufno. Plays it off the boards to Berdichevsky. He drops it off for Klemashov. The shot, good save by Bergeron. And a loose puck in front, Savard. For Turgeon, Canadians can't get it out. Now they do. Chorsky with Savard, a 2-on-2, and that play's broken up by Smirnov. Berdichevsky takes the shot against Didick. Khimik buzzing around again in the Montreal zone. Berdichevsky takes a shot off the leg of Daniel. Turgeon for the Canadians. Swoley to center. Into the Khimik zone. Trying to go wide on Smirnov. He turns in the corner. Chorsky behind the goal. Left the puck in the corner for LeBeau. He's tied up by Smirnov. LeBeau kicks it free. Trying to cut in front. Smirnov staying with him. LeBeau's pass too high for Turgeon. Chorsky from the point. His shot is blocked. And the puck comes out. We've reached the midway mark of the first period. 0-0. Over the line back to touch it. And it's an icing call on Khimik.
Bergeron's been the busier of the two goaltenders and has made 3 or 4 excellent saves. Here's one of them on Yuri Klemshov. Using the defenseman Didick as a screen, gets a good shot and nearly gets the rebound to put it in.
Khimik shooting the puck a lot in the first period. They've outshot the Canadians 7-3. And if not for Bergeron, Khimik would have the lead. Still scoreless, 9:53 left. LeBeau in front for Mike Keane. He tried to set up Corson. And the puck is cleared to the Montreal line. Svoboda to Stefan LeBeau. He sends the puck into the Khimik zone. Veselgin in the corner with Corson. Keane after it. He's bumped by Nida. He plays it around the boards and outside the Khimik zone. A couple of players, Milligan and Nida, had their jerseys stolen in St. Louis, so are wearing new numbers tonight for Khimik.
And if we ever catch those thieves, Bruce.
Shane Corson can't get anywhere against Ulanov. Back to Nida. Ahead for Andrei Bartelnov, but Svoboda broke that play up. Stefan Lebeau trying to find room for Montreal. A rolling puck is backhanded out by Andrei Bartelnov. And the Soviets and Canadians both make changes. Lefebvre to center. Try to slap it in. It hits Shiryev on the ankle. Lead pass for Maslov. Stefan Richer goes charging into the Soviet zone. Cuts to the backhand out of the forehand, and he's poke checked by Chervyakov. Maslov, the only player on the squad with a mustache for Khimik. Strudland at the point. Takes the shot. Richer trying to deflect it. Now Richer turning in the corner. And Shiryev clears it outside the Khimik zone. Lefebvre shot it back in. Kurashov. Pass into the skates of Melgan. He goes around Strudland at center. Into the Montreal zone. Got a shot away from the slot. Bergeron the save. Melgan chopping away at it. And Maslov couldn't get a stick on it. Here's Richer with good speed down the right wing. The slot shot. And the save by Chervyakov. And he held it long enough to force a face-off to his left.
Mesdames et messieurs, dans le cadre du concours du numéro 38 Kodak, vous découvrez autour de la série dans le magazine des Canadiens, le numéro 0029.
Pushes down the right side and lets the shot go. The goaltender, Chervyakov, came way out. See how far out he is, and stood very square to the shooter. And Stefan Richer couldn't see much of the net and hit him in the bullseye with that shot.
Richer, 51 goals last season, has 13 so far this year. 7.5 minutes to go in the first. Nothing. Long lead pass failed to click, and Didick is back to touch it. Icing call against Khimik.
Well, refereeing this game is the Russian referee, Alexander Galakmalov. He practiced today with the Khimik team. He wasn't on a line, but he was out there skating and travels with the team. He was very excited about getting a chance to work a National Hockey League game. And one of the areas of great improvement in the Soviet hockey is their officials.
Courtnall, a shot off the face-off that went wide. A couple of NHL linesmen joining the Soviet referee. Council trying to center it for Courtnall. Smirnov to Zelapukin. He lost the puck to Gerald Didick. Off the boards to Courtnall. Pass on the left side, too far ahead for Brunet. Salyanin behind the goal. Castles picks it up for Montreal to Courtnall. Gagnon was cruising into the slot. Courtnall couldn't get him the puck. Castles to the backhand. Back for Courtnall. And Zelapukin has the puck for Khimik. Drops it off to Dmitry Bartelnov. Edge of the circle. Gets it to the point. Ulanov shot. That hit Titov in front and goes to the board. Vestalgin from the left point. Behind the net, Didick is there for Montreal. Left the puck. Bartelnov picks it up. Comes right in front. Backhand shot by Titov went wide. Puck bouncing around in the Montreal zone, and Courtnall brings it up. Not as far as center, then is pinned on the boards by Vestalgin. Zelapukin. Goalie into Montreal territory. Backhands it to the side of the net. Bergeron sets it up for a Lionel Odelon. His pass off the Savard. Schneider. Forced by Tino. Off the board. Berchevsky trying to keep it in. He couldn't, and then took a check from Schneider for his effort. Montreal Canadiens tonight. 5:59 left in the first. There's Savard getting set for the face-off against Klimashov. Berchevsky, a good move at the line after a rolling puck, tried to golf it to the net. Schneider at the side of the goal. Go to line to Savard. Canadiens having some trouble with Khimik here in the first area. Ulanov keeps it in. No, he didn't, as the puck just did come out.
Well, Denny Savard, who leads the Montreal Canadiens in assists and is tied for the lead in points, 1,039 points in 769 NHL games. Lately has been starting to look like the Savard that we saw so often in Chicago. But we have to remember now, all new teammates, a new coach, a new system. Even the great ones take a little while to get used to.
Schneider to Odeline. To Selgin. Soviet flat and Bertachevsky at center. Torski for Turgeon. He was checked. Trupno for Khimik. Fires it around the boards. Odeline keeps it in for Montreal. Working his way down the boards to Turgeon. Savard cruising around. Turgeon took a shot. And it's covered up by Turgeon.
Well, there's no question that this guy in goal for the Khimik team looks a lot more like a North American goalie than most of the Russian goalies we've seen play over here. He's a seasoned veteran, third year in the elite league in Russia with Khimik. And Darcy Rota, who's traveling with this team across North America, said that he's really played quite well in all three games so far, and tonight doesn't look like it's going to change very much.
Sylvain Turgeon acquired from the Devils. In the lineup tonight for Montreal, the famous slap shot. That is Trubnikov high, but he seems to be all right. Keane, the course, and he jammed it in front, and Trubnikov puts his glove on it as the Canadians swarm the Khimik net.
Well, that was a nice play by Lefebvre, the Montreal defenseman. Yashin came out to block the shot. Lefebvre faked the shot and then let a real hard one go that hit the Soviet goaltender in the shoulder. Now, see the Soviet player going down to block the shot too early. Lefebvre steps past him and then blasts a 46-footer off the shoulder of the goaltender.
Yashin spins around, backhands it to the Canadiens line. Lefebvre to LeBeau. For Shane Corson. Rolls it in for Keane, and the puck is cleared by Kurashov to the Canadiens line. Lefebvre across to Peter Svoboda. He's been bothered by an ulcer problem. Corson.
That's the kind of injury coaches usually get. Very rarely do players get them.
Keane looking for LeBeau. Corson. Behind the net for LeBeau. Puck along the boards. Keane for Montreal. To Corson. Tried to leave the puck in front. But Kurashov moves it ahead to Shuryev. Now to Bartledon. Naida. Pass on the left side for Yashin. That play is broken up by Lefebvre. And Khimik make changes again with 4 minutes to go in the first period. 0-0. Lefebvre to center. Trying to do it himself. Gives it to Strudlin. For Richer. Knocks down a high pass. Then is checked. And the referee rules that the puck was touched by a high stick.
Well, as we know, the National League hockey teams are drafting more Russian players than ever before. And here's an example of 5 of them. Kozlov, the Red Wing draft, is not with this team. He plays with them, but he is in Russia getting ready for the World Junior Championships coming up later in Saskatoon.
Puck is cleared down the ice. Daigneault back for it, and an icing call on Khimik. Down to 3:44 left in the first period.
I was talking to one of the Russian coaches, Anatoly Bogniov, who's an assistant coach. He actually coaches Sokol Kiev, and I said, you know, and he speaks pretty good English. In Russia, do they fire the coaches at the same rate they fire them here? And he shook his head and smiled, and he said, Mr. Neal, I'm afraid it's an international problem.
Coach's job not safe anywhere, eh, Harry?
I guess not. But he was a delightful guy, full of a life, and most of the players didn't look like they were enjoying this tour as much as he seemed to be.
Brian Strudlin into the corner for Richer. Smeared off. Possibly Khimik's best defenseman staying with Richer. Peterson from the corner to Brian Strudlin. And the puck is cleared down the ice again.
Well, the Montreal Canadiens, Bruce, are trying to be a little too cute. You know, there's no physical play at all to speak of in this game. And the Russians always are a team that maybe pass it one too many times. And if you're not careful when you play against them, you get trying to play that game. And we've seen Montreal with 3 or 4 bad giveaways and a reluctance to shoot the puck. And normally they're a team that doesn't mind shooting it.
Shots at this point, 8-6 Khimik. Scoreless first period. Elgin and Skrudland on the draw. Skrudland to Richer in front for Peterson. He's knocked down, unable to center it for Skrudland, who was dumped, and the fans wanted a penalty.
And the referee gives the signal, no penalty, which is what they do in the Soviet Union, but of course not in the National League.
Korobchenko tried to roll it in front. Peterson brings it back for Montreal. He's with Richer. Poke checked at the line by Seljanik. Gidek turning in his own zone for Montreal. Across to Daniel. Richer, a nice move in his own zone. Richer.
And there's an example right there by Richer. A little too cute. We all know he can make those kind of moves, but in your own zone, it's a dangerous situation to get yourself in.
Bartelnov for Zelapukin. He was checked by Savard. Bartelnov picks it up again, hands it off to Titov, cutting for the net. He was checked by Matt Schneider. Schneider in the corner, trying to poke it up the boards for Savard. Titov looking for Zelapukin. Shorsky for Montreal. Peturgeon at center. Savard going for the net. Savard has it. Backhand pass. And it deflected off Titov, and then the side of the goal. Bergeron fires it around the boards for Schneider. Zelapukin to Kurashov in his own zone. 1:48 left in the first. Titov, lead pass to Zelapukin in against Desjardins. He stops. Hands it off to Bartelnov in the corner. He's dropped, thrown to the ice. And once again, the referee says no penalty. Schneider to Denny Savard. And the Canadians are offside on the play.
Well, this referee, who's done a nice job, he can certainly skate well enough and seems to be in position. But when there's a close call and the crowd reacts, he gives the safe signal, like in baseball, to let them know that he saw it, but he's not going to call it. Here's the last chance right here. There's the penalty, and look at the official at the bottom of the screen gives a safe sign, which in the National Hockey League, you see occasionally the referee will signal that a player dives, but the supervisors don't like them to do that at all on a penalty that isn't called.
Puck rolling in the Montreal zone. Svoboda giving chase. Klemashov right behind him. Berdichevsky dumped it into the corner. Andrew Kappel to Brunet. Shuryev pinching for Khimik. Lefebvre behind his own net. Pass on the left side to Brunet. Back to Lefebvre. He starts the Canadians out. Kappel's to center. Brunet picks it up. To Courtnall. The shot. And Trebyakov was down and made the save. Trukno to Berdichevsky. He lost the puck momentarily. Now gives it to Trukno with less than a minute to go in the first. Berdichevsky into the corner. Looking for Klemashov in front, but good back checking by Russ Courtnall. Lefebvre to Castles. He's with Brunet. Stopping at the line. Then put it right on the stick of Klemashov. Here's Trukno with Berdichevsky at 2-on-1. Trukno shoots, scores!
Well, I'll tell you one thing. That's a National League shot by Trukno. A bad giveaway by Andrew Castles just inside the Khimik blue line. Standing still, he tried a soft pass across the blue line. It was intercepted, and here's the giveaway right here. You've got to get that puck deep. With all these people standing still, you can see the result. And Trukno knew on the 2-on-1 that the pass was taken away from him by Schneider, and he fired it upstairs to give Khimik a 1-0 lead with 24 seconds to go in the first period.
His first goal on the tour, Trukno scoring at the 19:36 mark to give Khimik a 1-0 lead over the Montreal Canadiens. Daniel backhands it in. Seljanik backhands it down the board for Bartelnov. He got it to center. Daniel missed Keane with a pass. 8 seconds left in the period as Smirnov sends the puck down the ice. Daniel hustling. And they let the play go. No icing call on Khimik.
Well, you'd have to give the edge as far as territorial play and chances to score to Khimik. Montreal Canadiens were really not in the game as a team. Individually, they were trying to do too much, and they ended up finally getting burned on it on that Castles giveaway. Navarre referred to it in his interview that Montreal can play a lot better than that, and we're going to see whether he got his message through to his teammates in the first intermission.
Second period underway. Selyanin behind his net, watched by Savard. Lead pass for Bartonov. Savard from outside the line gives it to Turgeon. He was poke-checked by Titov. And the puck is back in Montreal territory. Lefebvre behind his goal. Savard picks it up. Back to Lefebvre. Pass to Savard on the left side. Selyanin in his own zone for Khimik. He fires it around the glass. Turgeon knocked it down. Came to Savard. In front for Chorsky, and he couldn't jam it in. Standing in the crease. Smirnov. Long lead pass for Bartonov. Smirnov starting out for Khimik. Banks it off the boards. Bertachevsky couldn't pick it up. Desjardins slops it in for the Canadians. Savard tipped it to the point, and Lefebvre brought it in on the offside.
Well, Sylvain Turgeon still has a ton of rust on himself, not having played. He was even hurt at the end of last year. And this is a nice way, Bruce, I think, for him to get a little game action. He's got to test that problem, and he's got to get some confidence, and then he has to get into game shape. And to do all those things in an NHL game, it's pretty tough. So I'm sure he's happy to be able to get out here and just feel himself around.
Lyle Odeline shoots it in for Montreal. Keane in the corner. Bumped by Klemashov as Selgin whips it around the boards. Svoboda left point. Couldn't keep it in for Montreal. Keane. Checked by Klemashov. Corson knocks it back to Odeline in his own zone. Khimik backing up as Odeline slops it in. Into the side of the goal. Chervyakov into the corner for Bertachevsky. Corson for Keane in front. He turns, can't get the shot away. Ulanov for Khimik. Hit Keane trying to clear it. Here's Corson. LeBeau goes for the net. Corson trying to get it to LeBeau, but he was checked at the last moment. And shooting it down the ice was Selgin. Odeline gives it to Peter Svoboda. He turns slowly to center. Pass went between LeBeau and Keane. Kurashov got it to center. Svoboda to Peterson, and he tips it into the Khimik zone. Just past the 2-minute mark in the second period. Krishno has scored for Khimik. They lead it 1-0. Shuryev, long shot, didn't get much on it. And Khimik is called on the off.
Pretty well covered with all those guys back there.
They used to stand in front of the players on the bench. Good thing they're not doing that tonight, or none of the players could see the game, Harry.
No room at the Forum on the bench, even if you stand behind.
Strudlin to Richer, a quick shot. And Chervyakov stayed right there to make the save on the short side.
Yashin, Oleg Yashin, according to Darcy Rota, who's seen the 3 games, say that this is the one Russian player that has played with a fair amount of physical aggressiveness. He's small, 5'10", 165, 22 years old. We haven't seen much of it tonight, but it is uncommon for the Russians to have players who are noticeably physically. I mean, they're a tough crew. They're hard to knock off the puck. They're tough on a one-on-one battle for the puck, but this guy, I guess, according to Mr. Rota, was running around in St. Louis especially, running into the nearest blue he could get his mitts on.
Yashin, a draft pick of the Edmonton Oilers in 1989, their 7th choice. Oilers have a couple of Soviets. He is Meekin, who hasn't played a game yet. He used to play for Khimik, and Semenov. Bergeron makes the save. On the shot by Toropchenko. Gerald Diduck at the side of his own goal. Toropchenko forechecking for Khimik. Richer to Schneider. Lead pass to Peterson. Had it poked off his stick by Smirnov. And Melgan got it into the Montreal zone. Schneider back for it, and an icing call on Khimik. 3:10 gone in the second period.
Matthew Schneider leads the Montreal Canadian defense crew in scoring with 15 points in 31 games.
Castles and Titoff for the draw. Brunet at the point to Desjardins. His slap shot just wide of the goal. Castles was trying to deflect it. Ulanoff dumped it in the corner. Brunet is there. Spun Ulanoff to the ice. Kicked the puck free, but Ulanoff held it long enough to force a face-off to the right of Cherbikov.
Well, Andrew Castles, a first-round draft pick from the Ottawa 67s, has been moved from his normal position at center ice to playing the wing. And he really had a great junior career for Brian Kilright in Ottawa, and now in the National League is playing on the wing, although on this shift he's at center ice.
Khimik controlled off the draw. Zelepukin checks. Bartelnov following up. Leading scorer in the Soviet National League last year. Gives the puck to Zelepukin. Works his way into the slot. Bartelnov scores! And it's 2-0 Khimik.
Well, this big line of the Soviets, Valatarov, Titov, and Zelepukin, have been the dominant line as far as chances are concerned. And you're not going to see a better goal than this anywhere in the world. No one takes number 18, Vartelnov, and he fires a rocket that goaltender Bergeron got a piece of, but couldn't handle all of it.
Pretty good one-timer by Dmitry Bartelnov.
And he told a group of reporters today that if he was given the choice between the '92 Olympics for the USSR or going to the National League, without hesitation, he would rather go to the National League. He has not been drafted, but he may after this tour. 24 years old.
Second goal on the tour. Titov had it knocked away by Lefebvre. Svoboda to Denny Savard. He lost the puck at center to Bertachevsky. Svoboda following up for Montreal. Gives it to Savard. Titov lost his stick, and Savard has the puck for Montreal moving in. He fakes the shot. Now lets it go. And Cherbikov stayed with him to make the save. Savard into the corner. Ulanoff goes after it for Khimik. Bartelnov couldn't clear it. Pass in the slot for Turgeon. That's intercepted by Titov. He gives it to Bartelnov, who's with Bertachevsky. Bartelnov around Lefebvre, going for the net. Can't get a shot away, as it's steered away by Bergeron. Kurashev at center. Return pass from Klemashov. Kurashev down the left side into the Montreal zone. A wrist shot. And that's snapped up by Bergeron, who holds on for the draw. Dmitry Bartelnov has scored in the second for Khimik.
Do this one back.
Sure, if you like.
On the Toronto Maple Leafs at Maple Leaf Gardens, and it'll be on your television set. Same station this Wednesday.
Lyle Odeline for Montreal. They trailed 2-0 in the second period to Khimik. And the Canadians called for icing as Shane Corson couldn't beat Kurashev to the puck.
Well, Stefan Lebeau, second in goals, tied for one in points, tied for the lead in power play goals with 4, which tells you something about the Montreal power play. 14 points in his last 13 games, and he has been one of the few bright lights among the offensive players for the Montreal Canadiens. He hasn't had a great chance tonight. Montreal's playing a very soft game physically, and that's completely unlike the way they normally play in the National League, where they don't necessarily pound you, but they do get in front of you on a regular basis.
Lebeau drops it for Corson, but he was checked by Klemashov. Odeline is outside the zone. Bertachevsky to Kurashev. Good move on Lebeau at center. Klemashov pokes it into the Canadian zone. Lyle Odeline behind his goal. To Mike Keane. Canadians coming off a couple of big wins over the Bruins, maybe lacking a little spark tonight in this game against Khimik. Good collision between Trupno and Keane. Gallianin to Trupno. Slowly into Montreal territory. Backhands it behind the goal. Bergeron directs it to the corner. Yashin took a solid hit from Mike Keane. And we've got our first penalty of the hockey game to the Canadians, Mike Keane.
Well, I think Keane was trying to liven up his teammates. Many of them have been caught snoring on the bench and haven't got into this game. And Keane ran over a couple of Khimik players and caught the attention of the referee on the second one. And here's the penalty call right here. And the reason he might have called it was that the referee nearly got hit on Keane's trip to take out the Khimik player. Now we'll take a look at the Khimik power play. Other teams that have come over from the Soviet Union have made the power play a real art to watch. And we'll see if it's true of this team. You know, one of the problems when you play these teams in the middle of your schedule is you don't have a chance to prepare for them at all. And there are some things that you ought to do when you play against a European team, whether it be the Russians, the Czechoslovakians, the Swedes, or the Finns. But you have to practice it a time or two because it's quite a change compared to the National League style of play. And, of course, the Montreal Canadiens started thinking about this game today and didn't have any chance to be ready for it. Perhaps that's one of the reasons why they're having a little trouble.
Khimik looking for its first goal with the man advantage on this tour.
There have been very few penalties in any of the games, so the power play has not had much of a chance to operate.
Vestelgan to Yashin. He slaps it in for Khimik. Andrei Vartalnov got spun around in the corner but controls the puck. To Vestelgan at the point. Back to Vartalnov in the corner. Two Soviets in front of the goal. Altanov hanging on to Vestelgan. Back to Vartalnov. At the right point for Ulanov, and Richer got to stick him away. And the puck's back in the Khimik zone. Ryan Skrudland forechecking. He and Vestelgan go to the corner. Titov now on the ice for Khimik. Zalapukin. Drop pass to Titov. He was knocked down by Brunet.
Well, Khimik has their big line out there of these top scorers, so we'll see in the last minute of this power play whether they can get anything done or not.
50 seconds to go on the penalty to Keane. Zalapukin at center. To Selyanin. He stops at the point, gives it to Zalapukin. Khimik setting up on the power play. Vartalnov back for Selyanin and went off Courtnall's stick to center. Smirnov. Hit Brunet. Selyanin forced back. Good penalty killing by the Canadians. Selyanin to Zalapukin. Gets around Brunet. Looking for Vartalnov. And Desjardins. Can't clear it against Titov. And hits Zalapukin. Brunet and Zalapukin along the board. Zalapukin goes to the net. A backhand shot off the side of the goal. 5 seconds in the penalty. Selyanin for Khimik. As the Canadians are back at full strength. Toropchenko. A rink-wide pass to Smirnov. Dmitry Vartalnov, who has scored in the second period for Khimik. Some whistling at the Forum. Soviet fans famous for that. Lefebvre. His pass went off Maslov. Naglin to Toropchenko. He swept it into the Montreal zone. Lefebvre to Turgeon for Chorsky. Picked up by Savard. He lost control of the puck, and Khimik clears it to center. Lefebvre right back in. 11:13 to go, second period. It's 2-0 Khimik. Kurashov. Pass to Shuryev. He hits Naglin. Into the slot, a slap shot, rebound, backhand shot, and a good save by Bergeron on Maslov. Svoboda for Turgeon. That play broken up at the line. Naglin to Maslov. That played off the glass by Savard. Shuryev, a quick shot from a bad angle off the chest of Bergeron, and he drops it for Odeline. Peter Svoboda slops it in for Montreal. Kurashov touches the puck, and Svoboda didn't go far enough, causing an icing on Montreal.
Well, Bergeron's been a busy man in the Montreal net, and he's had to make some big saves. And here's the advantage of playing on the wrong wing. You see, you cut into the middle, and you're on the inside of the rink rather than the outside. And number 10, Nikolai Maslov, let a hard shot go that Bergeron stopped.
Shot off the draw by Trupno didn't get through. He scored the first Khimik goal late in the first period. Harold Diddick off the boards to Keane. LeBeau from center on the left side to Shane Corson. Keane goes for the net. And the play is broken up. From a shot. Comes out with Trupno. Berdichevsky joining the play. Trupno looks around, takes a shot off the blocker of Bergeron. Mike Keane for Montreal. Cuts dangerously in front of his net and loses the puck. Berdichevsky takes a shot. That hits Diddick. Puck still loose in front. Keane for the Canadiens. To Stefan LeBeau. Puts it in for Corson, going right in, and he's poke-checked by Cherbyakov. Corson losing his balance, gets it back, shoots. Cherbyakov to save. LeBeau rolling puck. Scores!
A period by the Montreal Canadiens. Corson let a pretty hard shot go, and LeBeau got a stick on it as it squirted underneath Cherbyakov. Corson in the slot. After he fell down, he lets a pretty good shot go. LeBeau comes out from behind the net, hits it there, and then hits it one more time to put it in to make it 2-1. And the fans enjoyed the Montreal getting back into this hockey game, and Stefan LeBeau put him ahead.
10:24, the time of the goal by Stefan LeBeau. And it's a 2-1 hockey game. Smirnoff. Missed Bartolomov with a pass. Schneider back for the puck and icing right off the faceoff against Khimik. Now a 2-1 hockey game at the Forum.
Another look at the Montreal goal. Carson, a hard shot from the top of the circle. Not handled very well by the Russian goalie. LeBeau tips it in to make it 2-1 with 9:28 to go in the second. Maybe that goal will get the Montreal Canadiens moving. They have been in neutral for most of this game.
Grudlin, Peterson, and Richer, the forward line for Montreal, face off to the left of Cherbyakov. Gerard Gauthier set to drop it in. Puck is cleared by Yashin. Bartolomov after Richer. Schneider played it off the glass, and the puck to center. Schneider. To Smirnoff. Bartolomov back to Smirnoff in his own zone. To Seljanik. Smirnoff nearly popped it up. Grudlin. Stefan Richer with room on the right side, going for the net. He's poke-checked again by Cherbyakov. He's done that 2 or 3 times in the hockey game.
Well, Richer was under a little heat from behind and never quite had the time he would have liked to, but it was a nice play by the goalie to poke-check the puck away from him before Richer could get it across the net.
Kurashov across to Shuryev. Titov. On the left side to Shuryev, going for the net. Got a weak shot away, and Bergeron made the save. Titov trying to center it. Pukin. Penalty upcoming to the Canadiens. Dmitry Bartolomov turning in the circle. Extra man on shot. He scores!
Boy, Zelepukin, did he get something on that one? All 3 Soviet goals have gone up into the top part of the net, and 2 of the 3 have been one-time shots on a nice soft pass. And Zelepukin gave Bergeron no chance to stop it here. Zelepukin in the slot area. Number 20 right here. Shoves the glove out of the way. He scored that with only 1 glove on. And you can see it was a rifle job to the top. It actually went off the crossbar and down into the net. Bergeron no chance at all on it. Some shoddy defensive zone coverage by the Montreal Canadiens allowed the Soviet team, although they had their goalie out, and there were 6 skaters against 5. to get that shot away.
Khimik restoring its 2-goal lead. 3-1 the score. Desjardins sends it in for Castles and Portnoy, and Shervyakov covers up at the side of the goal. Zalapukin has given Khimik a 3-1 lead. Boy, what a shot, eh?
Big time. Hey,
We don't have to explain it. Grant does.
Mark wants me to.
Oh, does he? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, well, excuse me. Come back.
Valerie Solopukin makes it 3-1 Khimik on a rocket shot from about 30 feet out.
Shots 20-12 in favor of the visitors. Desjardins at the point. Backhands it into the corner for Castles. Let it go to Brunet behind the goal. Centers it. Here's Portnoy. Backhand shot. Good save. Castles working his way into the slot. Failed to take a shot, and the puck slides out.
Montreal are looking for the perfect play all night, and it's got them in trouble more than once.
Svoboda. De Brunet gains the line. Now the puck is forced out by Melgan. Korobchenko along the boards to help out. Turashov hangs on to the puck. Pass through center. The Maslov, as Korobchenko trailing, picks it up. He's checked by Svoboda along the board. Portnoy. De Brunet. Knocked off his stick by Ulanov. Maslov for Khimik. Can't control it. Svoboda in his own zone. 7 minutes left, second period. A 2-goal lead for Khimik. Korobchenko slides the puck ahead for Clemashov. Trying to cut to the goal. Couldn't get a shot away. Svoboda ran into his goaltender, Bergeron. He's very fast here at the Forum. Ulanov off the boards to center. Desjardins sends it back in. Turgeon checked by Ulanov. Here comes Trutno with Bertachevsky. Trutno shoots a weak shot wide. Khimik can't keep it in. Daniel to Savard. Smirnoff stops him at center. Trutno for Khimik. He's hauled down by Didick. Flips it around the glass. Smirnoff hustles to keep it in. Harold Didick behind his net. To Tom Swirsky. To Denny Savard. Turns at the line. Gives the puck to Turgeon. Back in front. And the play broken up again by Khimik. Turgeon will try it again for the Canadians. To Savard. A spin around, and he put it right on the stick of Smirnoff. And the fans at the Forum are becoming restless. Andrei Bartolnov, a shot off the arm of Bergeron. Daniel up the boards to Savard. He shoots it in off the stick of Shervyakov to the corner. Puck popped away from Corson. And the puck is fired down the ice. Odeline back for it. Icing Khimik. 5:18 left, second period. 3-1 for Khimik. Kind of funny, there's a blue. Okay. Yeah, having great fun here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to remind you that before the start of the third period, Khimik and Canadian players will go head-to-head with opposing goalies in a shootout, followed after one of hockey's most exciting plays.
Bruce Buchanan with Harry Neal and Grant Pollock. We're at the Forum in Montreal for Super Series 90. The Canadians taking on Khimik tonight, and the visitors leading 3-1.
5:18 to go in the second period, and the second period has been not a lot different from the first. The best team in the rink tonight is the team in gold.
Stefan LeBeau talking things over with Shane Corson. Face off to the right of Cherbikov. Corson bumped on the boards by Shuryev. He goes down. LeBeau trying to help out. LeBeau, the Canadians' marksman tonight, has the puck in the corner. To Shane Corson. Got a shot away. Cherbikov, the save, seemed to have a little trouble with it as Keane mixes it up in front with Shuryev.
Well, coming up, goal tonight has scored 3 for 3 in the shootout department, so it may be an interesting addition to this game. At least we know the Canadians are going to get some chances to score on it.
Looking forward to it. Right near the end of our second intermission tonight. 4:45 left in the second. 3-1 Khimik. Matthew Schneider behind his net, watched by Maslov. Stefan LeBeau. Got as far as center, then was poke check, and Maslov rolls it back in for Khimik. Schneider. To Shane Corson. Starting out for the Canadians. He dumps it into the corner. Then goes after Ulanov behind the goal. Canadians trying to get a little more physical. Stefan LeBeau at center. He slaps it into the Khimik zone. Keane in the corner. Corson throwing his weight around. Stefan LeBeau. Not the side of the goal. LeBeau still has it for Corson. Chips the shot off the blocker of Cherbikov. Selgan for Khimik. To Toropchenko. And he whacks it out. LeBeau was having words with Ulanov. Don't think they understood each other. Trutno at his own line, pushed by Schneider.
I think Ulanov understood LeBeau when he cracked him across the side of the helmet with his stick.
Richer for Montreal. Stick handling into the Soviet zone, goes around Ulanov. Centered it, but no Canadian there. Shot by Desjardins. And the puck is cleared. Canadians trying to pick up the pace, trailing by a couple of goals. Smirnov to Berdichevsky for Trutno. He cuts into the slot. Lost control of the puck. Is looking for a penalty. Doesn't get one. Grudlin through center. Into the Khimik zone. He lost the puck to Selyanin. 2:48 left in the second period. Desjardins at center. Across to Lefebvre. He plays it off the boards to Strudlin, who slides it into the Soviet zone, but Selyanin controls again. Smirnov to Berdichevsky. Long shot off the blocker of Bergeron. Berdichevsky to Trutno. He was knocked down by Brian Strudlin, and slashing will be the call to the acting Canadiens captain as Trutno is still on the ice.
That's the second Soviet that was hurt. Salgan got hurt on a shot by Richer earlier. And here Trutno goes into the end of the rink and isn't in perfect health yet. Player, you notice that, Bruce, the Russian trainers never go on the ice when a player's hurt. Their job is to get off on their own or with the help of their teammates.
Kind of tough when you get hurt. Svoboda. Through center with Castle. Back for Svoboda. He tipped the shot wide of the goal. 2:10 left second period. 3-1 Khimik. Kurashov. To Shuryev. Waiting for his mate. Titov in the corner. Gives it to Zelapukin. Trying to feed the point, and his pass nearly bounced off a Canadian skate in the goal. Kurashov left point. Khimik on a power play as Strudlin is off for slashing. Shuryev. Vartalnov back to Shuryev. He goes in deep, trying to throw it through the slot. And Russ Portnoy speeds away for Montreal. Kurashov is back. Portnoy, a slot shot off the chest of Cherbikov. Dmitry Vartalnov gave it to Toropchenko. Schneider. Nearly gave the puck away. Khimik still after it. Kurashov at his own line across to Ulanov. Stolen by Russ Courtnall. But Veselgan covered up. Veselgan, the oldest player on the Khimik squad. Yashin drops it off for Andre Bartolomov. Good hit on Yashin. Ulanov slap shot. Bounced off Schneider to the side of the goal. Bartolomov at the point to Veselgan. Back to Bartolomov. His shot off Schneider. Bouncing at the side of the goal. Dmitry Bartolomov. Back of the point. Ulanov a slap shot off the goal post. Veselgan in from the point. Bartolomov gets it to Ulanov. To Andre Bartolomov in the corner to brother Dmitry. A shot from the side of the net, and Bergeron made the save. Penalty is over to Strudlin. There's a lead pass for him. It was too high, 20 seconds in the period. Strudlin hops around Veselgan, but Nida covers up. He was tripped by Strudlin. Torski to Savard. Here's Dmitry Bartolomov flying down the right side. To Andre Bartolomov, trying to jam it in, and Bergeron made the save, but Khimik came very close again at the end.
Bergeron, I'm sure the goalies don't like this part of it.
Both teams are back on the ice. Both goaltenders warming up for the shootout.
In some leagues, the International League, I believe, is one where if the score is tied at the end of the game, this is what they do to decide who gets the extra points. They each get a point for the tie, and then they have a shootout for the extra point. And it is a very popular part of the game in the leagues in which it's done. Here is the best player, in my opinion, on the Khimik team, number 20, Zalapukin. And he'll, if you notice, the three goals Khimik scored were all up high on Bergeron. You wonder if that's just a coincidence or whether they got a scouting report on the Montreal Canadiens.
Zalapukin with a goal and an assist in tonight's hockey game, and he'll start the shootout for Khimik. Facing Jean-Claude Bergeron. And let's see, Harry, like you say, if he goes high.
Well, don't forget the Russian players have a far bigger curve on their stick blades than do the Canadians, and the one thing that big curve allows you to do is get the puck up higher sooner than with a straight blade.
Zalapukin getting set. Linesman Pierre Champoux talking things over with Jean-Claude Bergeron. He's probably saying, why do I have to go through this?
Well, this is a penalty shot contest. And Savard.
It's Zalapukin against Bergeron. First shot of the shootout. And the save by Bergeron on Zalapukin.
He tried to go between his legs. And if you score, it looks good. But if you miss on that with that strategy, you look like you didn't give it much of an effort.
Denny Savard for the Canadiens against Alexei Kurdyakov. And I think he got his toe down.
Yes, he did. Savard tried to keep it on the ice after making a fake or two. If he'd have gone upstairs with it, I think he would have scored. But a quick left leg took the goal out of the way.
Both teams 0 for 1. And next up, Dmitry Bartolomov, the leading scorer in Soviet hockey last season, against Bergeron. Good save again by Bergeron, and Khimik 0 for 2.
Well, even the players that aren't in this contest seem to really be enjoying it. Maybe the NHL should think seriously of deciding tie games with this kind of an event at the end of the game. Now, this guy will score. He's a natural goal scorer.
If you're right, Sylvain Turgeon.
Oh, no, he didn't. He looked like you and I on that one again. Tried to go through the goalie's leg. And it's always looked like a horrible idea if it doesn't work.
Still looking for our first goal in the shootout. Both clubs 0 for 2. And next is Anatoly Nida for Khimik, number 32. Right-handed shot. Bergeron in goal for Montreal. Nida scores as he went to the backhand.
Well, he went up high after he pulled it to the side. Bergeron might have had it if he'd have kept the shot low. But a nice backhand shot to put Khimik ahead. Now, if anybody's going to score, Bruce, this magician, he can make the puck talk on the way from center ice to the net.
Trying to even the count for Montreal. Save again by Cherbyakov. They must think he has a weakness between the legs.
Well, Montreal's goal-scoring talents of yesteryear have been unavailable this year for most part.
Berdichevsky for Khimik. Can assure a tie if he scores here. Lost control of the puck. And Bergeron came sliding out to make the save.
Well, as soon as Bergeron saw that Berdichevsky lost the puck, he came out, and Berdichevsky's only chance was to go across in front of the net, and of course he was poke checked.
Stefan Lebeau for Montreal. Saved by Cherbyakov. Savard's really the only Canadian that tried to deke. Canadians are 0 for 4. Khimik 1 for 4.
Truckno got hurt at the end of the second period, but you give a hockey player a chance to take a penalty shot, he'll recover quickly.
Khimik can win the shootout with a goal here. Scores! A nice move by Truckno. And Khimik scores 2 goals. They'll win the shootout. But we will finish it. Russ Portman, the final Canadian to shoot on Cherbyakov. Let's see if he can shut Montreal out. Goal post for Courtnall and a shutout for Cherbyakov in the shootout.
Well, 5 penalty shots and you don't score any. It's an abnormal number of misses. Only on one stop did Chernikov have to move to stop it. All the rest of them hit him or Courtnall hit the post. 2-0 in the shootout.
Khimik wins it 2-0. We'll return with third period action. Buchanan with Harry Neal and Grant Pollock. The shootout over. Khimik won that 2-0. They lead on the scoreboard 3-1 as we're back to the live action. Lefebvre to Desjardins. Third period underway. Khimik with a 2-goal lead. Lebeau to Corson. Stops at his own line. Back to Lefebvre. Bartelnoff and Titov forechecking for Khimik. Lebeau moving in with Mike Keane. He was knocked off the puck, and it's Dmitry Bartelnoff one-on-one on Lefebvre. Long shot. That drifts wide of the goal. Zelapukin from the corner. Jammed it in front for Titov. Desjardins gets it to Corson. Now to Lebeau. Keane on the right side. Lebeau to Corson. Slap shot. Big rebound from Cherbyakov. But Dmitry Bartelnoff is there for Khimik. Gives it to Zelapukin moving in on the right side. Lefebvre off the corner boards. Bartelnoff there. Dumped it in front. And Chorsky clears it for Montreal. Canadians will have to open it up here in the third period here.
They got to use each other a lot more than they have in the first two and stop trying to do it all individually and move the puck a little bit.
From a shot. Miss Trutno with a pass. Svoboda on his own line to Savard. Now to Turgeon. Good move at the line on Ulanov. Turgeon to the corner. Trying to slide it in front for Chorsky, but the Selgin was there. He rolls it up the boards for Ulanov. His pass intercepted by Svoboda. To Chorsky. 1.5 minutes gone in the third period. It's 3-1 Khimik. Ulanov trying to go around the board. Turgeon was there. Shot from a bad angle. And Cherbyakov made the save. Turgeon working behind the goal. Selgin drops it to Ulanov. It is own man Berdichevsky who goes rink wide to Trutno. His shot just wide of the goal. Turgeon to center. He stopped at the line. Not sure yet. Matt Schneider to Turgeon. Rolls it into the corner. And the Canadians make a couple of changes. Sure yet. Bartelnoff looking for Nida. Peterson for the Canadians. Kurashon. Then Nida at center. Bartelnoff sends it into the Montreal zone. Took a check from Didick. Kuryev to the side of the goal. Bergeron handed it off to Schneider. Now to Richer. Hopped over his stick. Kurashon shoots wide of the goal. Bartelnoff trying to stuff it in front. Movement to Peterson. Now to Stefan Richer. Long shot.
He's shooting the puck. Always trying to make that extra pass, it seems. Well, I think Richer decided when he got that puck in the neutral zone that he was going to shoot it. He makes a great play to take that pass off his skate, and then he just blows it by the goaltender here on one that I'm sure the goalie thought he should have had it. Here's what the goalie looked at. We all know this guy can shoot, but on the short side from 62 feet out, he'll end in Siberia if you let too many of those in playing for the Russians.
Stefan Richer gets the Canadians to within one. Has a 5-game point scoring streak going in the NHL. Makes it a 3-2 hockey game. Maslov into the corner against Daniel. Poroshenko working against Krugman, put her right through the crease. And Maslov couldn't get a stick on it. Daniel for the Canadians. Today Jardin out to Stefan Richer at center. Moving down the right side against Smirnov. Turns along the boards, put it behind the net. Galyanin to Maslov. He dropped it to Milgan. Has Poroshenko with him. Poroshenko takes the pass. Long shot off the chest protector of Bergeron. Poroshenko along the boards. At the point. Baselgin a shot. Save. Big rebound. And it's controlled by Strudman. I think we're in for a wide open third period. Stefan Richer in front for Peterson. He tipped it. Good save by Cherdyakov. Milgan to center. Gives it to Poroshenko. Back to Milgan. The shot off the stick of Daniel. The puck goes over the glass and into the crowd. Stefan Richer has scored in the third. Canadians are within one.
Offensively, Peterson goes for the net after he makes the pass, and the Russian goaltender made an awfully good stop on a tip-in by Peterson. Richer brought the rink alive with that long 62-footer and got his team back into it. Now the Montreal Canadiens in 16 minutes with a determined effort to still win this hockey game.
Face-off edge of the circle to the right of Bergeron. Won by Khimik. Baselgin from the point. A slop shot that went off Castles to the corner. A save behind his net gives it to Peter Svoboda. Russ Courtnall went off the skate of Titov. And Cherdyakov came out to play it. Titov, where's number 13? Obviously not superstitious. Brunei centers it. Elapukin. Dick handling at his own line. Courtnall nearly stole it from him. And he pushed and shoved with Baselgin. Svoboda to Courtnall. And an offside on the Canadians at the line, although they continued to play.
Benoit Brunet, 22 years old, hurt his knee while touring Russia this 27th overall in 86. He's only played 8 games, has 3 points, burned up the American Hockey League last year. And again, it's an attempt to add a little offense to this Montreal team. It remains to be seen whether he can do in this league what he did in the American League.
Lemashov, Trupno, and Berdichevsky up front for Khimik against LeBeau's team and Corson. Back into the Montreal zone. Matt Schneider to it. And an icing call on Khimik. Nearly 5 minutes have been played in the third.
Well, I asked the Soviet coach, Vladimir Vasilyev, if they traded players in the Soviet League the way they do here. And he said that this is the first year when players can be transferred from one team to another for money. And they call it a transfer, not a trade. Red Army can get a player because all boys have to serve 2 years in the Army. And for the first time in the history of Soviet hockey, after the 2 years, if Red Army doesn't give them back to you, they owe you some money. So he thinks this will help spread out the talent in the league, and Red Army won't end up with the best team every year. And they didn't win it last year, and they're not in first place at this point this year.
Moscow Dynamo did. And we'll have them on New Year's Day. Center for Corson, he scores!
Well, the Montreal fans have enjoyed the first 5 minutes of the third period. And Shane Corson, who's really had a tough time scoring this year, a turnover behind the net. Corson into the slot and quickly gets rid of a pass that beats the Russian goaltender up high. Here's another look at it. You have to give Keane credit for fighting off the check, and then nobody took Corson, who sat in the slot and had a free shot. Although he had to get it away quickly, He did, and put it right on the net. And this Montreal crowd has been brought back to life with the 2 goals that the Canadians have scored here early in period 3.
Brand new hockey game tied at 3 as the Canadians get third period goals from Richer and now Shane Corson.
I also asked Darcy Rota, who's touring with this team, what the most common requests by the Russians are. Hockey equipment, he said. CCM supplies helmets, jerseys, socks, pants, and gloves. The players want sticks and skates. Fresh fruit was also very high on the list. Evidently in Russia there's very little of that. And he said the soda pop's gone right away at every meal. They eat every meal together.
Gerald Diddick. Out to center. His backhand pass hit Keane. And the Canadians offside.
Well, Shane Corson, who is tied as the leading plus-minus player on the Montreal Canadiens, but only has 5 goals in 23 games, plus 10. And I talked to Pat Burns about Shane's slow start offensively. He said he's not as worried about it as Corson is because Corson plays good, strong two-way hockey, despite the fact he's not chipping in as many goals as usual.
Yashin dumps it in, bouncing puck. Diddick can't flip it out. Not in the corner to Andre Bartolna. Had a sidestep, a check from Diddick was hauled down. Keane to Corson, a 2-on-2 for the Canadians. Corson back in front for Keane, and Smirnoff made a good play. Here's Yashin with Bartolna, a 2-on-1. Yashin scores!
Well, it looked like Bergeron blew that one. It was a quick shot and a wrist shot, so there wasn't much in the way of a warning. But it wasn't as hard a shot as the other 3 goals that Khimik scored. Here's a look at it. It's kind of a one-on-one, and from the top of the circle, perhaps using the defenseman as a screen, Yashin lets go a quick wrist shot past the Montreal defenseman, Odlin, and into the net. Now, in all fairness to Bergeron, I think that puck hit Odeline. Certainly you could tell by the reaction of Bergeron that he was surprised by the shot.
Yashin's second goal on the tour has Khimik back on top by a goal. Svoboda was dumped at the side of the net by Toropchenko and he got his number. Savard with Turgeon. At the eye to Russ Courtnall, he was tripped up. Melgan to center. Maslov into the corner after the puck. Gives it to Toropchenko. For Melgan, let it go, and Turgeon sends Courtnall away. Has some room on the right side after a good move on to Selgan. Looking for Turgeon. He just missed a check from Ulanov. Broke his stick on the play. Lefebvre back in his own zone for Montreal. 13:25 left third period. 4-3 Khimik. Third shot. Hooks it up the boards to Zelapukin. Melgan can't get anywhere. Zelapukin following up. Good move at the line. On one skate, gave it to Bartolna. His shot, and he rattled it off the leg of Lefebvre. Courtnall. Turning at center. He lost the puck to Titov. Titov to Bartolna. Left the puck for Zelapukin. He was checked by Richer. Titov in front. Bartolna off the side of the goal. This line's been flying tonight for Khimik. Bartolna gets away from Strudlin into the slot. Still has the puck for Titov. And finally, the Canadians gain control. Lefebvre for Richer. Impressive line for Khimik. Sure, you have a long shot. And Bergeron made the save on that one. Lefebvre to Daniel. He slots it in from center. Goes back and right in front. And cleared away by Smirnoff, who looks at his goalie. Serbyakov. Boards can be lively in Montreal. The board in his own zone with Bertachevsky after him. Peterson. To Stefan Richer. He scored in the third for the Canadians. Checked by Komashot. Comes to the point. The Jardin shot. Off the stick of Bertachevsky. Strudlin behind the goal looking for Richer. Gallianin up the boards for Trutno. Strudlin continues to fight for the puck. Gets it to Richer behind the net. Trying to come in front. Put it right through the crease. Peterson couldn't get a stick on it. Peterson to Svoboda. Smirnoff rolls it up. Anderson back in. It's Strudlin with a pass. Zelyanin nearly gave it away to Strudlin. Berdichevsky for Khimik. Long shot off the glove of Bergeron. Big rebound, and Svoboda knocks it back to his goalie, who holds on for a face-off. Yashin has put Khimik on
4 to go, and a 4-3 lead here in the third period at the Montreal Forum.
Schneider and LeBeau on the face-off, won by the Canadians. Schneider stopping in front of his own goal across to Didick. Skates the center and shoots it in. Ulanov for Khimik. He's bumped by Mike Keane. Corson in to help. To Selgin. To Vartalnov. He rolls it into Canadian territory. Yashin after Didick. Up the boards for Corson. Ulanov is hit by Corson. Dropped his stick. LeBeau for Montreal. With Gerald Didick. He fires it in. Comes off the corner boards to Corson. Couldn't get a shot away. Now he centers it for LeBeau. Nida trying to kick it out. Now he passes off to Vartalnov. Moving in against Schneider. Stop. Good move. Takes the shot. Bergeron the save on the short side. And he holds on as Andre Vartalnov showed some pretty good skill.
People in the truck had an enormous assignment. I told them we wanted to get any good body check, and here's the only one that's been thrown tonight. Korobchenko on Svoboda. And that's one reason why this game at times has just been an east-west affair, a friendly match, because there hasn't been much in the way of bitterness between the two teams.
Elgin and Savard to the left of Bergeron. Back to Desjardins, takes it behind the net. Now starts out. Canadians looking for the equalizer after tying it at the 5-minute mark. Yashin put Khimik on top again. Shurya off the boards to center. Maslov backhands it into the Canadian zone as we near the midway mark of the third period. Lefebvre for the Canadians. Savard to Courtnall. Turgeon, the left winger. Savard takes the shot. He was checked by Kurashov. Turgeon behind the goal to Savard. In front is Savard, the shot, a roller. And the save was made by Cherdyakov. Maslov drops it off for Melgan, going for the net. Can't get a shot away. Maslov might have backhand off the side of the net. Lefebvre ahead for Turgeon. At the right point, it's Melgan. He waits, takes the shot, and a pad save by Bergeron. Korobchenko from a bad angle. Another save by Bergeron. Lefebvre for Montreal. To Russ Courtnall. He's forced back by Titov. Courtnall had to be careful. Dmitry Vartalnov was after him. Andrew Castle in on the left side. He's cut off by Smirnov, pinned on the board. And it's Titov for Khimik. To Zelyanin. Out at center to Zelapukin. Vartalnov picks up a shot. He scores the second goal of the night for Dmitry Vartalnov.
I guarantee you that Vartalnov missed that shot, and it went between the legs of Bergeron. I think he was trying to go upstairs, and I think Bergeron thought he was, and it just kind of fluttered. It's a 2-on-2. The Montreal defenseman moves out to Svoboda, and then the shot is taken, and it was like a change-up. It fooled the batter, and the batter there was Bergeron. Here's a better look at it. It hits Svoboda in the skate, comes right back, and there Vartalnov fired a slow-motion shot between the legs of Bergeron, and it is again a 2-goal lead for Khimik with 8:56 to go in the game.
Second goal of the night and third of the tour for Dmitry Vartalnov. 5-3 Khimik. Lead pass for Castle failed to click. Zelapukin trying to use the speed. Turkey beat him to the puck. Rene in the corner. Lost the puck to the Selgin. Titov moves it to Zelapukin. Dumps it in on the right side for Bartolna. And Daigneault touches the puck, so it's icing against Khimik.
Well, there's Bartelnoff, as we mentioned 2 or 3 times, led the Russian league in scoring last year. He's a lazy little guy, I'll tell you that. He only goes when he thinks he's got a chance to do something offensively. He coasts over to the bench when he changes on the fly. And perhaps that's why he hasn't been drafted, Bruce, because he is a talented player. And I'm sure the North American scouts have seen lots of this guy as he grew up playing in the Soviet League.
Strudlin getting set for the face-off against Klemashov to the right of Cherbyakov. Khimik came into the third with a 2-goal lead. After winning the shootout, Canadians tied it. Khimik countered with 2 more. Strudlin to Peterson, a shot and a pad save by Cherbyakov. Stefan Richer. One hand on the stick. Peterson's shot nowhere near the goal. Schneider in from the right point. Had to whack it down the boards. Picks at the puck, and it came out to center. Mark Peterson for Montreal. 4 Soviets were waiting at the line. Kirashov. Berdichevsky knocked down from behind, looking for a penalty. .7:48 left in the third. Richer straight up the ice. Checked by Klemashov, Kukno to Yashin. Off the boards and into Montreal territory. Desjardins to Lefebvre. Tried to slap it in. That hits Yanin. And he's been shaken up a little bit. Stays on the ice. Moves the puck across to Smirnov. Now to Naida at center. He shoots it in. Puck came off the corner boards. Lefebvre banks it to Desjardins. Ahead to Brian Strudlin. He fires it in to the Khimik zone. Smirnov around the boards. Good hit by Strudlin on Smirnov. And now he looks at the referee.
Well, don't forget now, this referee travels, or used to, travel with the Russian team and practice with them. Every time a Russian's hit, he pleads with the referee for a penalty.
Mike Keane in the corner. Bumped by Naida. Fired around the boards by Ulanov. Desjardins a shot. Came to the goal and steered away by Cherbyakov. Corson knocked off his stick by Smirnov. LeBeau for the Canadians. Behind the net, centers it. And Keane was all tied up by Ulanov. Bartolna. This is Andre. Stick handles into the slot. A backhand that goes wide. Lefebvre for the Canadians. 6:22 left in the third. It's 5-3 Khimik looking for their first win on their NHL tour. Sullivan to Toropchenko. Khimik nearly caught with too many men on the ice. Svoboda to Russ Courtnall. Checked at the line by Zelapukin, and Courtnall ran into the boards and gets up slowly.
So many Montreal players trying to beat 3 or 4 Khimik players. They've done a nice job, Khimik, when they get up. 2 goals especially, as there's 4 people lined up at the blue line, and their chance of getting the puck through all of them are pretty slim.
Melgan off the boards to center. Diddick fires it in off the glass. Turgeon checked by Shuryev. He moves it to Titov. Now to Bartolna. Got to set up Titov in front. Bartolna still after it. A giveaway. Titov shoots, scores!
Saw some brutal defensive play by the Montreal Canadiens to give Khimik an extra chance. And one thing we found out early in this game is that they've got some guys who can shoot the puck. And here's the shot by Jermaine Titov. And look at the time he had. Per Bergeron had no chance. He's in his 9th year with Khimik, and last year had 6 goals in 44 games. But he didn't get that kind of an opportunity. And the Canadians had the puck, but they turned it over, and this game has slipped into a rout by Khimik over Montreal. 6-3 with 5:19 to go.
And heading for the exit. Titov's second goal on the tour. And they've answered back with 3 straight after the Canadians tied it at the 5-minute mark of the third period. Klemashov to Krupno. He shoots it in. Berdichevsky giving chase against Schneider. Up the boards to Daniel. Out comes Strudlin with Richer and Peterson, a 3-on-2. Richer, slap shot, kicked away by Cherdyakov. Richer beat him from well out earlier in this period. Richer out of the corner, Strudlin a shot, and the save by Cherdyakov. Pressure now by Montreal, Strudlin from the corner. To Peterson. For Richer, that's intercepted by Selyanin. He gives it to Trupno with 4.5 minutes left. His long shot, high off the glass. Schneider for Montreal. Vasiliev, the Soviet head coach, making changes. Off the blocker of Cherdyakov. Kane Corson. Back to Lefebvre. Pass it center to Corson. Can't beat 3 Khimik players.
A perfect example of what I just mentioned. The Russians lined up at their own blue line, kind of daring you to see if you can stick handle by them all.
Selgin's pass. The clearing attempt picked off by Odeline. Lefebvre across to Odeline. Off Mike Keen's stick at center. Good collision between Corson and Ulanov. Barkolnov gets it to Nida. Back to Barkolnov on the right side. He's hit by Lefebvre. Corson dumps it out. Canadians beginning to show their frustration a little bit. Kurashov to Yashin. Andrei Barkolnov at center. Trying to drop it back. And LeBeau nearly had a chance to go to the net. There's a clearing attempt. Bounced off Corson right to Cherdyakov, and he holds on for the faceoff. Dmitry Barkolnov has 2 tonight for Khimik. With Harry Neal and Grant Pollock, 3:09 left in the third period, and Khimik on its way to victory for the first time this season on its NHL tour, leading 6-3. Bard and Melgan on the faceoff, and around the boards to Toropchenko. He threw out that big hit on Svoboda, long shot. Bergeron got a stick on it. Puck goes over the glass and into the seats. A lot of them vacated here at the Forum with Khimik leading by 3. Period 6-3 Khimik. Face off to the left of Jean-Claude Bergeron. Sure, yes. Whacked it to the side of the net. Desjardins. Up by Toropchenko. Haslot trying to kick it free. Kenny Savard. To Desjardins. Moves it to Courtnall. Play broken up at the line by Shuryev. Desjardins has to wait for Savard to get onside. Now carries across to Russ Courtnall. Into the slot. But Kurashov was there, and he banks it off the boards and down the ice. 2.5 minutes remaining in the third. Turgeon into the Khimik zone. Smirnoff had a strong game on defense. Dmitry Barkolnov looking for Zelapukin. Zelapukin to the Canadiens line to Jardin. To Savard. He shoots it in. Zelapukin back for the puck. 2 minutes remaining in the third. Smirnoff to Selyanin. Off the boards to the Canadiens line. Schneider for Brian Strudlin. Schneider to Richer. Hands it off to Strudlin. The Richer side of the net nearly caught Cherdyakov out of position, and it's Smirnoff off the board. And it can't keep it in. Zelapukin. Halted at the line by Didick. Strudlin with 1:27 left.
So
and Richer.
Khimik, the Bruce goes to Buffalo for a game Wednesday, and the Montreal Canadiens travel to Toronto tonight.
Berdichevsky drop pass for Klemashov. Dmitry Barkolnov to the side of the goal. Didick to Schneider. Klemashov back to Veselgan. In front. shot just wide by Berdichevsky. With less than a minute to go in the third. Matthew Schneider leading the Canadiens' attack. Looking for Peterson. Passes a little too far ahead. He grabs his man. Keane behind the goal. Puck at the side of the net. LeBeau after it. Still loose. And back to collect it is Trutno. 32 seconds remaining. Berdichevsky to Trutno. Turns at the line. Had it knocked off his stick by Daigneault. Kurashev. Here's LeBeau at center for Montreal. To Shane Corson. Goes between two Khimik players. Trying to work his way down the boards. Nida for Kurashev. Keane in the corner. 5 seconds left. Corson looking for Keane. That's picked off. Goes to Bartolomov. He slaps it down the ice. And the game is over. The final score, Khimik 6 and the Canadiens 3.
Well, Khimik beats the Montreal Canadiens 6-3, and normally after an international game, the handshakes are given and taken by both teams. Khimik was a little better prepared mentally, and certainly this game seemed to mean more to them than it did to the Montreal Canadiens. And as a result, they outplayed the Canadiens, all except for about 10 minutes in the third period when Montreal made a bit of an effort to get back in the game.
The final score tonight was Khimik 6 and the Canadiens 3. We'll return with our Molson Player of the Game announcement right after this.